If you see me passing by, and you sit and you wonder why, and you wish that you were rambling too, nail your shoes to the kitchen floor, lace them up and bar the door. Thank your stars for the roof that's over you. And I can't help but wonder where I'm bound, where I'm bound. Can't help but wonder where I'm bound. I can't help but wonder where I'm bound, where I'm bound. Can't help but wonder where I'm bound.
All right, YouTube. Okay, what's up, everybody? Who was here yesterday? Who was here during the live broadcast yesterday? Robert asked, any battery issues today? That battery explosion was crazy, says Adam. What's up? Robert, IVYS. Robert S. says, is that Johnny Cash? The fact that you have to ask loses you potential bonus points that you could have just gotten if you just said, oh, cool, Johnny Cash. Of course that's Johnny Cash. Who else sounds like that? No one else sounds anything like Johnny Cash. It's not even about the sound, too. It's like it's the essence. No one else has that, like, that raw, just beautiful innocence that that old Johnny Cash had. Especially with that voice, right? That deep voice. It was, in his old age, it got even better. All right, so whoever, if anybody was watching yesterday, during the live broadcast, at the very end, which was a sudden ending, there was a massive explosion behind me, right there, right there. The little, I was charging some batteries on my Nightcore IntelliCharger, and it so intelligently exploded a freaking battery, and it caught fire and started burning up over there. But the timing and everything about it was so perfect. I mean, it was just, it was a great moment. I don't know. I pulled the, let's see. I pulled the video here. Let's see if I can pull it up and screen share. What's up, everybody? We got a bunch of people watching. I didn't even announce this on Facebook or anything. Bong Flash says he was sleeping when he heard the explosion and woke up. How can you fall asleep during my hangout? Come on, what's going on? You're so bored in the hangout, you're falling asleep. Yeah, that was crazy, right, guys? Technic says yesterday's stream was sponsored by Samsung. Yesterday's stream was actually sponsored by Monsanto. No, by Bayer and Monsanto. Looks like yesterday was the Ecuador's Independence Day with the fireworks, says DJ Adam. How do you guys like how when Ariana walked by, she walked by like 6 seconds before the thing exploded? How you like that? Right? Like she walked by. Let me pull up the footage. You guys want to watch that? Instant replay? Eslam Omar says, oh, wow, I can't believe you're alive. You're like a legend to me. He says live, not alive. If you watched the hangout yesterday, you'd be saying, oh, wow, I can't believe you're alive. They say, I can't believe you're alive. You're like a legend to me. 216 pounds to 170 pounds. Thanks to your information. Congratulations, Eslam. It's not thanks to my information that you lost a bunch of weight and took control of your life, right? You were just ready. I'm just a vessel and it flowed through it at the right time to reach you. And the beautiful serendipitous experience of life synced up our paths, and you were able to benefit from it. But it has nothing to do with me, man. I'm just doing what I can do, and you would have gotten there eventually, right? You got there thanks to your own intention to live, to take responsibility for what you've been given, which is that body, which is this life. So I'm stoked for you. 216 pounds to 170 pounds. That is 46 pounds lost. And you say thanks to my information, but hey, this is information that's readily available in scientific studies and scientific literature. There's a lot of different people out there with a lot of information, and you would have come upon it anyways, but I'm glad you found it for me, and I'm glad you resonate with the message. I'm glad you enjoy the content. Hopefully you bought the ebook. Hopefully you bought the Ketogenic Edge Cookbook. If you haven't, you better get that. And you can only get that at primaledgehealth.com. All right, so let's watch. Who wants to see the clip of yesterday? Who wants to see the explosion? I'm going to do a screen share. Let's see. How do I screen share? Screen share. My living room explodes. When you were young, let us say that you wanted to be a fireman. I feel all right, here you go. Experience alters your perspective. Alters your perspective. Or perspective. All right, then here, check this out. Look at Ariana walks by right there. That is at about 28 seconds. Ariana walks by. Let's see. As I said, to put our faith in tangible goals would seem to be boom! Ah! And then I go and I try to grab a towel behind me because I thought I was going to have to put a fire out, but the battery just burned out. And there it goes. So check it out. Right when my hand goes right there. Boom! Look at that. Said to put faith in tangible goals would seem to be whoa! So there's the clip. Crazy, right? Yeah, Ariana had walked by like 6 seconds before. It was about 7 seconds before I actually timed it. She walked by 7 seconds before. And right when I'm reading the following, and right when my like hand goes, if you look at the angle between the camera, my hand, and the vector between the camera, my hand, and the fire, my hand goes like here, and then the thing goes boom. It kind of looks in the video like my hand ignited the fire. Crazy, right? No, it was RCR 123A. DJ Adam asked if those were a 18650 battery. No, they're not 18650 battery. This thing takes 18650 batteries. It was one of these. It was actually the battery that exploded. I've never had a problem with these batteries before, so I don't know if the problem was the battery. I'm guessing the problem was the charger. My hands are really gross and greasy. Sorry, guys, but that's the battery. It's a 123A, and it straight up blew up. Here's a cool flashlight. Check out the little copper bezel on that. Nice little flashlight. So anyways, that was yesterday. 6 seconds before she walked, 6 seconds after she walked by, rather, the thing blows up. But how's that timing? How's that for timing? You like that? Welcome to my life. So here's the sentence that I was reading when I was rudely interrupted by that fire in my home. DJ says the 18650 would have made a bigger boom. Yeah, and it might have caught the couch on fire. And if we weren't here and the couch was a little closer, it could have been really bad. But luckily, it was beautifully awesome. So here's the sentence that I was reading when I was rudely interrupted. As I said, to put our faith in tangible goals would seem at best to be unwise. So we do not strive to be firemen. We do not strive to be bankers, nor policemen, nor doctors. We strive to be ourselves. But don't misunderstand me. I don't mean that we can't be firemen, bankers, or doctors, but that we must make the goal conform to the individual rather than make the individual conform to the goal. In every man, heredity and environment have combined to produce a creature of certain abilities and desires, including a deeply ingrained need to function in a way that his life will be meaningful. A man has to be something. It has to matter. As I see it, the formula runs something like this. A man must choose a path which will let his abilities function at maximum efficiency towards the gratification of his desires. In doing this, he's fulfilling a need, giving himself identity by functioning in a set pattern towards a set goal. He avoids frustrating his potential by choosing a path which puts no limit on his self-development, and he avoids the terror of seeing his goal wilt or lose its charm as he draws closer to it. Rather than bending himself to meet the demands of that which he seeks, he's bent his goal to conform to his own abilities and desires. In short, he has not dedicated his life to reaching a predefined goal, but he has rather chosen a way of life he knows he will enjoy. The goal is absolutely secondary. The goal is secondary, I like that. It must be it is the functioning toward the goal, which is important. And it seems almost ridiculous to say that a man must function in a pattern of his own choosing. For to let another man define your goals is to give up one of the most meaningful aspects of life, the definitive act of will, which makes a man an individual. All right. I got a bunch of other stuff highlighted here, but pretty good piece. That's what I was reading from when I got cut off there. Islam is asking if our book's available on Amazon. It's not available on Amazon, but you get on our website in a universally formatted PDF file that you can read on any device. But yeah, no, we're not going through Amazon. We're not going through the Amazon racket. We're not going there. Abu Dai Strissy, come on now. Don't play that game. She says, what do you think about the postings of Stephanie Keto Person? Again, I don't know what she's posting. I don't know what she has to say. To me, it's not about personality. It's about what works, and it's about facts. So don't come on my channel and ask me to comment on somebody or to try to get me to involve in some bitter, childish feud with somebody. That's not what I'm about here, right? What do I think about Stephanie? I think she's got a lot of good things to say. I think I don't agree with everything she says, but there's nobody in the world with whom I agree with everything that they think, right? So no, it's not, to me, it's not about personality. To me, it's not about, oh, look at me, I'm so much better than this person because this and that. And it's not about this silly ego thing. So I don't care like what people post about me, what they say about me, whatever. I mean, it reflects more what we had to say about other people. Really, I don't know. I wouldn't say all the time, but a lot of the times what we have to say about others reflects more about how we feel about ourselves and the current state that we're at. It's more of a reflection of us at the moment than the other person, right? So like, I'm not into arguing about petty crap or name calling or any of that. Not going to get involved in it. Not going to get sucked into it. Don't come on my channel and try to play that, right? Because people send me the clips of what happened, people saying things about me, but I saw how it transpired. The audience was beckoning it with the questions, right? People were probing. People wanted to bring that out. This individual who I'm talking about, you're trying to get me to talk about, was having an obviously bad day, was really uptight that day. You could see it. She was just all tight energetically, and she looked like she wasn't very happy there. You catch somebody at the right moment. You catch me at the wrong moment or the right moment, however you want to see it. You can catch me on a bad day and get me to say all kinds of silly things about people, right? If you catch me and I'm feeling like, crappy and unsatisfied with myself or insecure or anger, like scarcity mentality or something, and you start asking me questions about other people, like think about it. Put yourself in their shoes, right? Check out Ryder. Ryder has something to say. What's up? Nam. What? What's that? Yeah. You got a great voice. Thanks for. I could smell the milk on your breath. It smells amazing. All right. So yeah, let's not do that. Let's not engage. And don't go to other people's channels and start asking them, what do you think about Tristan? Right? Don't try and bait people into those like uncomfortable situations where they might feel insecure or something like that and try and beckon these negative responses out of it. Don't shit post and troll. And don't do it to me, and don't try and get me involved or act like you're, I don't know. I get people from other people's channel. That was weird. I get people from others that come from other people's channel all the time trying to do this, trying to beckon forth and bring like these negative reactions and start infighting. I think it's really silly. So yeah, I mean, I like Stephanie. I'm sure, I don't even know her. Talked to her one time, but I'm sure she's great and she has a lot of good information. We agree on a lot of things, right? We're not enemies. We have nothing against her. It's all good. I might not agree with things she says. I might have a different approach, but that's all, same team. Come on, guys. All right. DJ Adam says, Tristan, let's say my daily intake of fat should be, for example, 100 grams. If I drop that to 30 grams a day, will the body make up the rest through fat burning for weight loss? Oh, it's not so simple. Yeah, it's not simple like that. No, I mean, just creating a 30-gram deficit doesn't automatically turn into 30 grams of fat burned on your body. But But let's see. Yeah, I don't know. So again, in theory, though, creating a deficit through removing fats from the diet on a ketogenic diet, that is how you burn more body fat, right? Because on keto, yes, you're burning fat. Ketones bring satiety. Thank you. Cold water. Oh, so good. Ketones bring satiety. They make you not hungry. So the magic of keto isn't you can eat as much as you want or you just eat as much fat as you can, you lose weight. A lot of people gain weight on keto because they think that that's what you do, right? A lot of people, they eat 200, 300 grams of fat, they end up gaining body fat. They don't realize that when people give a recommendation like that, they're usually referring to the onset of a ketogenic diet, right? You don't want to create a big deficit at the beginning. You don't create a big deficit at the beginning in keto. Because it can be a little bit stressful, right? Just like intermittent fasting plus keto. You're trying to adapt to keto and you're going to intermittent fast, create a huge deficit. This could be stressful on the body. You're pulling the primary fuel source, which was glucose before. You're pulling that and you're forcing your body to adapt, to create more mitochondria, to go through all sorts of metabolic adaptations, to use ketones and fatty acids as energy, right? So this takes time. It takes a lot of energy, metabolic energy from the body. It takes time to adapt. So don't make it super stressful for yourself. Excuse me. Don't make it stressful for yourself. Oh, still there. Don't make it stressful for yourself by creating a huge deficit and starving yourself for calories during that adaptation period, right? But that doesn't mean just because you want to eat some more fats in the beginning, and that's not the same for everybody. Some people are fine starting out in a deficit. Yeah. Not everyone needs to eat 200 grams of fat. Very few people on a ketogenic diet, in fact, need to eat 200 grams of fat. But, in the beginning, when you're adapting, you want to have more fats, and then you pull the fats out to burn your own body fat. Now, what the situation that this individual put forward was, why isn't this, somebody's Skyping me, and I've never heard of this person before in my life. So no, I will not accept your contact request, and I will block you, sir. Weirdos. All right. But 30 grams of fat, that is a low calorie diet, right? 30 grams of fat is less than you need just to replace your lipid membranes and for basic hormone production. So most individuals below like 70 grams of fat on low carb diet, you're entering into territory where you're going to see potentially some slowdown in your metabolism and feel like crap. So no, 30 grams of fat, I don't recommend that to almost anybody, especially not like longer than a few days. I am fitness. What's up, man? Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right? You could watch. I watched the broadcast where people kept sending it to me, trying to get this response, and I took the bait in certain regards, and it was like, almost, but no, I'm not into it. Not into that. But it's stupid how people try and back and forth. People try and bring forward these fights and these negative aspects of people. Someone jumps on a live Hangout and there's a group of individuals that'll swarm and just try and bring forth this negative response. It's really silly. It's kind of like demonic in a certain way, right? Like, yes, show me your seething hatred and anger. Like typing, it's off-putting to see people give into it, and I try not to give into it. But hey, I'm human. Everyone likes a good battle every now and then, but pick your battles, people. Pick your battles and quit trolling on the internet and starting fights. There's better ways to spend your time. Mad Max says, can we eat fruits on a ketogenic diet? I've eaten 2 fruits today. I've eaten 2 avocados today. Avocados are fruit. Very keto friendly. Yeah. All right. But some low sugar fruits, especially like after you've adapted, a reasonable amount of blueberries or raspberries or something like that. Very low sugar fruit, a little bit of strawberries. Not going to be harmful as long as you're able to keep it in moderation, right? It's like if the fruit becomes a trigger, like the bread, the pasta, then it can become an issue. But yeah, fruit's not going to be a major part of ketogenic diet, except for avocados, of course. All things in moderation, though, folks, right? All right. Let's see. Look at all these people. There's so many people. All right. I Am Fitness. What's up, man? DJ Adam, Ivy's Pena, Robert, Denise. What's up, Denise? How's it going today, Denise? Lakshay Shukh says, Tristan, let's talk about something else today. Do you believe in luck and karma? Luck and karma? Those are funny words, right? Do I believe in luck? Do I believe in coincidence? Luck and karma. That's a funny thing, right? Karma being, do you believe in cause and effect? Of course I believe in cause and effect. Do I believe in luck? Well, I don't know. What does that mean, man? You're talking absolutes. Do I believe in luck? I don't usually chalk things up to luck. I'm more of the cause and effect. And sometimes the effect informs the cause. In fact, always the effect seems to inform the cause in my life. Bruce Rav Creative, what's up, man? Hey, great timing. I just found your channel and I'm learning about keto. I keep seeing a 50-50 debate on including veggies in keto diet. What are your thoughts? Debate on veggies? What? What are you talking about? Debate on veggies, man? Of course you want vegetables in the diet, right? Leafy green vegetables, fiber and micronutrients. If you can stomach them. Some people don't digest vegetables very well, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the zero carb thing. A lot of people are really into the zero carb approach. And on the internet, extremes are what attract people, right? Extremes, extremely restrictive diets. My diet is crazier than your diet, right? It's like the closer a diet is to an eating disorder, the more attention it gets on YouTube and the internet. The more people are attracted to it. It's crazy. And I'm not saying that like low carb, zero carb people have eating disorders. I'm just saying it's like, this is an extreme example. Not everyone needs to go zero carb, but it seems like some people do have really good results when they cut out all carbohydrates. Owsley was one of the big proponents of that. The first zero carb guys, Owsley, Bear Owsley Stanley. So yeah, no, I don't promote a zero carb diet. I don't eat a zero carb diet. I'm not against it. If you want to know more about zero carb nutrition, I would suggest looking at some of the talks I did with Andrew Scarborough. Shout out to Andrew. Hope you're watching. What's up, Andrew? Andrew is treating cancer with a ketogenic diet, using it as an adjunct therapy for an aggressive astrocytoma, aggressive brain tumors, and uses a ketogenic diet as zero carb diet because he found that he's super sensitive to things like lectins and plant toxins. So he didn't want those in his diet at all. And Andrew makes bread out of bugs. Cricket bread. Check out Andrew Scarborough. He's a great guy. He knows a lot more about zero carb than I do. Not the zero carb expert, but hey, if it works for those people, got nothing wrong with it. It's just not for me. I like the veggies. Sarah Mazur says, okay. She was bantering with someone else. What's up, Sarah? Lakshay Abu Dai. What's up? Abu Dai. I know, I'm not accusing you. All right, so Abu Dai says, okay, chill. I was just curious about her routine. I'm not sure what her routine is. You asked me about her posts. What do I think of Stephanie Keto Person's posts? Every single live thing I've done the last week, somebody's trying to get me. There's people trying to shit stir, right? People are trying to orchestrate straight bullshit fights, right? They're trolling. No, I'm not going to take the bait. So I'm not saying you're doing that, but I'm just not going to bite. Lakshay says, what do you think about psyllium husk for fiber? I like psyllium husk. Psyllium husk is cool. Not for everybody, of course, but it's a good mix of soluble and insoluble fiber. But I'd rather get fiber from the diet, right? I'd rather get it from stuff like zucchini, leafy green vegetables, spinach, avocado, stuff like that. That's where I prefer to get fiber. Mutant Stoner, what's up, dude? Randy R, hello. Paradoxical Axiom. Robert, hello. Linda Flanagan, hey.
I want to hear what recipes people like from the book.
All right, I Am Fitness 360 says, I ate a donut yesterday and I'm no longer in ketosis. Will I have to start the process all over again to get back into keto? Get back on your macros, get back on track. You'll be fine. You might not feel great today, but you'll feel good. All right. Mad Max says, I usually do a hemp protein shake as a meal every day. Is hemp protein powder allowed and beneficial on a keto diet? Well, of course it's allowed, right? A hemp protein powder, there's nothing inherently wrong with a hemp protein powder. Actually, as far as plant-based proteins go, hemp protein would probably be one of the better sources. Not just for health. I mean, health-wise, it's an incredible food, right? Especially as like a plant-based food. Hemp's one of the most valuable plant-based foods out there. It's incredibly productive. It makes loads of fiber also. That's perfect for textiles, clothing, and you can even make industrial products out of it, right? Henry Ford's hemp car. Look up Henry Ford's hemp car. Of course, hemp is illegal because DuPont and many other corporate interests colluded together and got it banned and completely demonized. And so, yeah, here we are now. Hemp is now overpriced and ridiculous. But yeah, nothing wrong with it on a keto diet. Enjoy your hemp protein powder. I think hemp's a great food for promoting sustainability, for promoting I'm really into hemp products, right? I think they're great. I think it's a great food. I think it's very viable. I think most of the wheat, corn, and soy and the lumber industry is very threatened by the potential of hemp as both a food and an industrial product. It's incredibly powerful. This is not just like, yeah, everyone just smokes some weed, the world would be better, dude. No, this is like really like hemp is actually a very powerful plant. You know, it's not only for the medicinal properties, but also for its, for its use as an industrial product. You can make steel out of it. You can build homes out of hemp, hempcrete, hemp concrete. It's antifungal, antimicrobial, antibacterial. How's that, right? You got a house made of an antimicrobial source, not wood that's going to rot and get moldy and create health issues. Crazy. But it's highly regulated because it would eat into the profits of those that wish to keep it all for themselves. Tanya Eubank, what's up? Tanya? Linda Flanagan, hello. You'll be all right, Linda, don't worry. Lori B says, hi from Indiana, Pennsylvania. I watched several of your YouTube posts and love the way you just lay it out there. Thank you. Tanya Eubank says, give me cheese or give me death. And then she says, founding fathers grew hemp. Well, yeah, I mean, the Constitution of the United States is hemp paper, right? And it used to be a law that all settlers in the New World had to grow hemp. It's an incredibly valuable crop. And it's absurd that it's illegal and that it's been bastardized. I mean, it's criminal. All right. Slavica. Hey, Slavica. All right. All right. So Jessica says she wants to hear about Tanya Eubanks wants to smoke the Constitution. Goodness, Tanya. It won't be fresh anymore. It'll be all moldy. All right. Jessica wants to ask, what are your favorite recipes from the Ketogenic Edge cookbook? So for everybody watching, what are some of your favorite recipes from the cookbook? And are there any like cool modifications that you've done? There's we give a lot of recommendations within the book about how to modify recipes, how to make them better for you, how to suit them for your family, and even for people who aren't on keto, which I think is a really cool aspect of the book. But yeah, what are some of your favorite recipes there? I know Mama's Best Meatballs is one of the favorites all around. I mean, it's just a really good, simple, basic meatball recipe. No grains, no wheat or anything weird in it like that. And if you take 50% heart, you use ground beef heart. And if you go to your local butcher where you get grass-fed ground beef, ask them to grind up heart. You get 50% heart, 50% ground beef, and you put that as you use the heart as half of the beef in the recipe Mama's Best Meatballs. And it's incredible. It's so good. Islam says, I can't survive the day without Trident gum. I used to chew that in high school. The xylitol inside it would affect my fat burning? ? Look, some people seem to have a glycemic response from xylitol. All right. Some people seem to have a glycemic response to xylitol, but I don't know. Yeah. Look, if you think it's giving you issues, if it's like you can't live without it, what's the attachment there? I mean, even beyond the, oh, is it kicking me out of ketosis? Because I'm not going to get into like the relevance of that, right? But if you're chewing gum all day and you need that gum, what the heck is the attachment, right? I mean, it sounds like you kind of got like a bondage situation going on there. Maybe work on the attachments and on energetically detaching yourself from the need to be chewing this gum all the time. It just seems like a weird habit, you know? Nothing against gum or xylitol in general, although xylitol does seem to give some people gut issues. Robert S. says he doesn't do well with xylitol. Dogs also don't do well with xylitol. In fact, if you've got xylitol, keep it away from your dang dogs. Tanya says xylitol does have a glycemic load. Yeah, it's supposed to be really small, and they used to say it was no glycemic load, but I'm pretty sure you're right, Tanya. That stuff's got a little bit of a glycemic load, and I don't know. I don't usually recommend these artificial sweeteners. I guess xylitol is a natural one. Now, erythritol and monk fruit extract, there's a product called Lakanto, and it's erythritol with a monk fruit extract. These are natural sweeteners. They seem to have no glycemic load and don't really mess with people's blood sugar and blood ketones. And again, let me reiterate this for the 100 millionth time. Should have like 200 videos on this channel now about keto. It's crazy. I do not have my clients obsessively check their blood glucose, their blood ketones. To me, it's irrelevant. We track progress. If a client wants fat loss, I'm not trying to push their ketones up into infinity and, you know, load them up on fat if they're trying to lose body fat. There's been plenty of studies on low carbohydrate ketogenic diets that seem to indicate that after adaptation, blood ketones go down more. In the beginning, you're flooded with them ketones, right? Your body doesn't know how to use them. So your blood ketone levels, you're peeing them out all over the place. You're wasting ketones all over. But once your body starts getting efficient at using them and isn't making extra when it doesn't need to, it seems that there's an adaptive response. Now, there was a study that did, I think it was a 6-month study of a low-carb diet. They measured blood ketones. And fat loss in the beginning was the same at fat loss in the end of the 6 weeks. And in the beginning, ketones were at like 1.1 on average. Near the end, they were at about 0.5, I think it was, or 0.4 to 0.6 or something like that. So their 0.5 is technically ketosis. So their ketones dropped. They're still in ketosis, but they didn't have high levels. But they're still losing body fat at the same rate, and they didn't lose lean muscle mass, right? Ketosis is 0.5 and above. You don't have to be at blood glucose of 70 to 80 to be in ketosis either, right? So I'm not all about obsessing over this in non-diabetics. I think it's ridiculous. I think way too many people are wasting way too much time, money, energy, and just stressing themselves into oblivion, like eating disorder level obsession with blood ketones and blood glucose when it's unnecessary for their goals and their lifestyle, right? Like I'm not looking to push a lifestyle on people that puts them in constant fear of getting out of ketosis, right? This is supposed to be something that supports life. This is supposed to be something that enables you to have a healthy, strong, vibrant body that you can use for meaningful activity in your life, to enrich your life, to enrich the quality of life for others around you. Yeah? Not give you something to obsess about and deify and idolize, right? It doesn't be some idol in your life where you're constantly obsessing over these little metrics of my blood ketones are only 0.4 this morning. Oh my goodness. Is it because yesterday when I was walking down the street, I stepped on a crack and I didn't test my blood ketones? I mean, this is like the level of obsession with this gets absurd. So, yeah, xylitol can definitely affect the blood glucose and the blood ketone levels. And you're not trying to spike blood glucose constantly on a ketogenic diet. So you stick to the leafy greens. Don't eat a bunch of artificial sweeteners all the time. And if you are going to mess with some artificial sweeteners, stick to ones that are actually non-glycemic. The natural ones, I think, are better. My favorite one, the one I would recommend, would be Lakanto. I don't even sell it. Maybe I should put it up on the website. But it's erythritol and monk fruit extract, and it doesn't have crazy aftertaste, doesn't give me gut issues, and doesn't make me feel crappy. Every once in a while, I'll have some foods with that. Jessica makes some really good baked goods sometimes for kids, and I like to get down on them as well. Keto friendly baked goods, of course, using like coconut flour, almond flour, stuff like that. Then again, like, yeah, it's all about context, right? It's not about dogma. It's about what works for you, what works in your situation. And in your situation, you can't go a day without Trident gum. I don't know, maybe switch the story you're telling yourself and say, I'm going to go a day without Trident gum, because that's your right. That's your body. You don't have to be in bondage to that, right? You don't have to bow to that. You don't have to bow down to it, right? You can stand up in the power and the strength that's given to you through your free will. And you can say, no, I'm going to take care of this body in a different way. And I'm going to take charge of it. I'm not going to be in bondage to this little habit, whether it's smoking, drinking, or xylitol gum, whatever it is. It's like we got to be breaking those chains in order to really experience life, freedom, and consciousness. Okay. Sarah says, keto gave me my life back. Wow. Not to beat a dead horse, but look, Sarah, keto didn't give you your life back. Keto didn't give you life. Keto is a tool that you used, that you were given, and that offered you maybe just like a carrot on the stick, right? That offered you an opportunity to take charge and take control of your life and take your energy back. Keto didn't give you life, right? What gives life? Not food, not just food. We do not live on bread alone. Robert says, Tristan, from someone with earlier question, were you ever fat? What was your highest body fat percentage, roughly? Was I ever fat? Let's see if I'll pull up a picture of me a few years ago. All right, so I was never obese. I grew up chubby, unhealthy, asthmatic, with intense allergies. Always had allergies. My nose was always dammed up as a kid. My septum's not fully opened and developed. Asthma, asthmatic, autoimmune conditions, asthma, allergies, standard stuff that so many kids have nowadays. Let's find an old picture. My picture's original. This might take a while. Let's see, 2012. I think this was December or November 2012. And there's a picture of me without a shirt, looking pretty dang fat. So anyways, I grew up pretty chubby, was never the fittest, was never a star athlete or anything like that, right? Played baseball and soccer and stayed relatively in shape. Always had to carry an inhaler with me. If I didn't have my albuterol inhaler in my backpack, I would feel loads of anxiety. So breathing issues, lots of ear infections, loads of antibiotics. Let's find the picture. So that was as a kid, right? Then I got to college, got pretty lazy for a couple years, a little bit fatter one of those years in college. My weight fluctuated throughout that, was never super fit. When my daughter was born, before she was born, my wife and I had done, we were eating super healthy for a few years. We really dialed in a diet, whole foods based diet. I guess you would have called it paleo. We didn't even know about paleo back then, right? We had experimented with a raw vegan diet at one point. And let's see, where is this? We experimented with a raw vegan diet at one point, and I can't find the pictures. Trying to find you guys a picture of me a little bit fatter a few years ago. So anyways, after my daughter was born, I got a little bit fat for 1 year. Got to a point where I was so sick of all these diet dogmas that everyone was talking about. I was just so hyped when Ariana was a little baby, and I don't know, just having a family and everything. I was just so hyped. I wasn't worried about my diet. I didn't care at all. And trying to find these pictures. It was in Papayacta. When you see me passing by. Thank you, stars, for the roof that's over you. Where's this picture? So anyways, yeah, I went through years, weight fluctuating, never ideal body composition, you know, pretty fat at times. All right, let's do a screen share. So here's me, November 2012. Pretty fat. All right, let's find November 2012. Screen share. I'm trying to find this. Where'd it go? Come back. All right, I'm going to find this. All right, guys. Sorry, there's a lot of dead air time there. Well, I'm trying to find this picture. So anyways, here's me in 2012. Not obese. By no means. Healthy body composition. Whoa, look at that beard, too. Haha. All right, so there's me, 2012. Check out my little daughter right there. There's Ariana as a baby. There's my big fat belly and a huge beard, long ass hair. Obviously wasn't doing anything to do with like any social media stuff or YouTube at the time. Didn't give a crap how I looked. Was actually doing a lot of exporting of organic foods and stuff like that. So most of my work was on the phone, and people didn't see me. I had this big, massive beard. I used to braid it. These little Viking braids. So yeah, that was me a few years ago. Nice belly. You guys like that? 2012. My daughter was like 6 months old right then. Here, I'll show you another picture from that time. You guys want a little show and tell? Look, with a shirt on, I wasn't so gross. That was just with the shirt off, right? Not so gross with a shirt on. Tanya calls me a dirty hippie. I look like a dirty hippie right there, right? All right, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. Look, I wasn't that much of a dirty, gross hippie. Check it out, guys. Let's find a screen share again. This is like the same. This picture's from the same time period. Let's find it. Where did it go? Ah, my picture's gone. There it is. All right. So that's the same weekend. Got the belly. Got a little belly going on there. That's in a place called Papayacta in the Andes. It's really beautiful. All right. Stop screen sharing. I disappeared. Sorry, guys. Am I back? Am I good? I'm back, right? I misclicked. The causation says no more pyrotechnics this time. Am I back? All right, I'm back. What's up, everybody? So yeah, there's some embarrassing old pictures. Actually, not embarrassing. I don't care. I knew I was fat at the time. At that time, in that picture, I was eating ice cream and just kind of like it was in a phase of like dietary nihilism almost, right? So I was in between, like I'd done a raw vegan diet. I'd had my mercury amalgam fillings removed. I was on this really intense quest to make my body function right, to get my digestion right, to get my health right. And it was working. I felt great. So then I kind of got to a point where I was like, man, I'm sick of worrying about food all the time. I'm just gonna eat whatever I want and just enjoy life, you know? Because I found that people, I mean, I was in a community where I live where there was loads of like obsessive, dogmatic vegans. Everyone's tripping out about food quality so much all the time. It got annoying to me, right? I don't know, I'm one of these individuals who I'm always searching for more. I'm a creative person. I'm always looking, like I'm not satisfied with just repetition and the same crap. So I kind of just said, screw it. I'm just going to eat whatever I want for a little while. And I got fatter. I tried to eat whole, organic, nutrient-dense foods. But yeah, I was eating a lot more carbohydrates. I was eating just, you know, lots of panela and stuff like that, and yuca, you know, more starch, more sugar. And I got fat. I got fat that time. You know, the fattest I was, though, I'm going to try to find a picture for you guys of me in college. All right. Tanya Eubank says robot or clone confirmed. Wait, why do I need a mod? Who needs modding? Is there somebody talking shit, guys? Who's mod? All right. Okay. So I'm going to find another picture for you guys from way back when. Let's see, from like 2008, I think. So let's see me. I'm like 22 or something. That's fine. 2008. May 2008, I think, is a good example. All right. So anyways, yeah, the ketogenic diet finally allowed me to get the body composition that I enjoyed, allowed me to find a solid foundation of a diet and lifestyle that would keep my body healthy, that would keep it functioning well, and that I enjoyed. So to me, keto was amazing. I'm into it. All right, let's see. Trying to find more pictures. Oh man, these are too much. All right, guys. Now this is actually like, if I were to try to find embarrassing pictures of myself, these would probably be the ones that I would pull out. This is funny. All right, you guys will like this. Here we go. Let's screen share this picture right here. This was me. This is me at my lowest. At my lowest and my highest. All right, so let's see.
Right before you met me, right?
No, I knew you, but it was like before we were like together. So right here, let's see. Can they see it? Yes. Okay. All right, so they can see it. All right, notice. See that propane thing on the ground? That was for this bong that you see right next to the Xbox, which I was playing. What's the video game I was playing there? Let's see what it was. I was playing Skate 3 or Skate 2 or something, or Skate 1. I don't know. Some video game on Xbox. Check out my bearded dragon, or was that a snake? No, those are bearded dragons in that little thing. But that's a bong in the corner. That is a soda, but that soda wasn't mine. A friend of mine brought that by. There's like there's beer. This was my birthday, my 21st birthday. I'm eating Burger King. I'm bloated, inflamed, and pretty chubby. I got like a Thrasher magazine there, some like funky art magazines on the dirty carpet on the ground, Xbox, TV, bong. All right, that's enough of that. Cigarette. Oh, where's the cigarette? The cigarette wouldn't have been mine if there was. Oh yeah, the cigarette, that was actually my roommate's. I did not smoke cigarettes at the time. I mean, everything else was mine. The bong was mine. The beer was mine. That is the middle of the day. My 21st birthday, of course, weekday. Eating Burger King Whopper Juniors, drinking beer. But all right, I'm gonna show you another one, guys. The next picture in the sequence. All right, Here's the next picture. You guys are going to love it. Me at my lowest and my highest. Where did it go? Come back. All right. Where is it? Come. Okay. I'm going to screen share this now. From the same photo shoot. All right. So there's me. Notice the location of the pickles. Note. I don't know. I just thought it was really funny. I'm obviously joking. Like at the time, like it was a very excessive time. I like, look at the double chin. Look at that chin right there. Look at that chin. And then there's like, I didn't like the pickles. So I take the pickles off. So there you go. 21 years old. All right. That's so funny. That was such a funny time. Oh man, I remember that day. Devin, I hope Devin sees this. Devin, you took those pictures, dude. Remember that, Devin? Devin watches these sometimes. Wolf Babe says weed is medication. Yeah, look, I'm not against weed at all. In fact, at most points in my life, I've been quite the opposite. I've been a proponent of it. I definitely don't think it's for everybody. I definitely think it's been a negative aspect of my lifestyle at points in my life and has detracted from the quality of my life at times. Now, at the time when this picture was taken, I actually had a really great quality of life. I was really happy. It wasn't a picture of me pissed drunk in the middle of the day. I'd had one beer and I just thought it was really funny that I was eating disgusting Burger King every day. And this was my routine, right? So at this time I was eating Burger King. I would drink like good craft beer all the time. Like I always had like just heavy beer around. I loved IPAs and stuff like that. So I'd study and I'd like drink a beer in the middle of the day and then like go to the library and work on my thesis, shit like that. And I don't know. I mean, I was happy. I was having a lot of fun, and it was what it was. I was eating Burger King Whopper Juniors and Ben and Jerry's on a regular basis, and I would just get into like just that carved out coma and fall asleep in the middle of the day very often. And then I would try to go skate, but I'd be too inflamed and sore. My back was all twisted, and I'd get frustrated. And then I'd go and I'd smoke some weed, drink a beer, and eat some shitty food, and start the whole process over again. And it wasn't a beneficial like thing, right? And somebody was just saying they think weed is medicine. At that time, like it wasn't a huge negative factor in my life. And look how I'm like, I'm drinking beer all the time, smoking weed, getting the munchies, eating shitty food. Like I wasn't treating my body very well. And I thought it was funny. Like it was like, I don't know, it was like this nihilistic time. I thought I was invincible. I mean, I would go skate down hills like in front of buses at night using their lights so I could see, and I would shoot red lights in front of cars. Like I thought I could not be harmed or hurt. I was so full of it. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. But there definitely were times during that when I know that the weed was not beneficial to what I was trying to do, right? Anything, the dose makes a toxin, right? Anything you can become in bondage to anything, right? Shoot, look at how many people are addicted to porn, right? How crazy is like the pornography industry now? And my generation is kind of the first ones to be so inundated with so much of that. And it fucks with our dopamine levels, right? Just messing with the dopamine constantly, using, alcohol, weed, pornography, food to try to maintain stable brain chemistry is not a good strategy for most people. You will run your body into the ground if you keep doing that. So yeah. Robert S. says, did you guys see that they now think it's not so much dopamine which causes runner's high, but rather endocannabinoids? Cool, right? The endocannabinoids, which also switch on fat burning, switch off glycolysis, lower inflammation. The endocannabinoid system is fantastically complex and under-researched. And I think that's something that we do need to look into more. And that's the endogenous cannabinoid system, right? Not like exogenous cannabis. We're talking about endogenous. Your body makes these cannabinoids. And Yeah, I would definitely agree with that for sure. That runner's high, it doesn't feel like dopamine, right? It's more like it's different. The dopamine, what dopamine does, it's like it's like connection. You know, it's information, it's memory. Dopamine is there to tell us, hey, you're on the right track with what you're doing. But the thing is, we found ways to hack and trigger dopamine using drugs, using porn, using these shortcuts that put us in bondage to them, right? And then we fry out the receptors, we overstimulate the receptors, and they become less receptive. So the overuse of opiates actually results in more chronic pain. In the picture that you saw right there, during that time, I would seek out opiates quite often. I actually remember during that time, we used to get Oxycontins. You know, I mean, I know people who've died from Oxy. I know people who've ruined their lives with Oxy. I know people who've ruined their lives trying to chase a way to get that dopamine because they're not getting it through the ways that society gives us, right? Culture and society should be here to support the human organism, right? To uplift the noble aspects of the human being, not to suppress them and harvest energy for economic purposes in an ideal world, right? Right. Not the real world. But yeah, I mean, at the time, you know, I actually remember, now that I think about it, and I was saying it wasn't like, you know, you look at the picture and it's like, oh man, he's eating Burger King, he's got a beer in his hand in the middle of the day. It wasn't, I don't even see it as that dark of a time, but I was, you know, I was messing around with my body a lot and I wasn't treating it properly. And I used to have a lot of pain. And I grew up, I was diagnosed scoliosis in 7th grade. You know, so like I said, I grew up, loads of ear infections, antibiotics, many doses of antibiotics, chronic use of inhalers for asthma, allergies. My body was twisted. My lungs didn't form right. The draw of my breath that brings electrical energy up the spine to the tip of the crown of the head, that didn't flow very well. So I found ways where I could still connect to my life force and have a lot of life, but it was really hard to maintain sometimes because I was having to use drugs to stay there, right? Like I had to use opiates in order to not have pain a lot of times. It was hard for me to sleep. My back was twisted and crooked. And I treated it rather than in a holistic manner of trying to straighten out my posture, work on my movement patterns, work on my connection to life, on my focus and on my mind and my internal state. While I was doing that in certain regards, the connection wasn't really there yet. So I was just trying to stifle the body and shut it up so I can enjoy life more, right? So I would use Oxycontin, and I used to get morphine pills from this girl in college. And I remember, I guess that was in high school. I used to get the oxycodone, just wreck your liver and your gut, all that Tylenol. So yeah, I mean, I abused this vessel. I went through years of abuse. You know, I mean, those pictures I showed you, you know, I mean, if you were to blood test me then, check my hormone levels and stuff like that, shoot, I don't know where it was at. I sure had a hunger for life though, right? Like you can't break the human spirit. Even you can confuse it and get it chasing its tail in all different directions. But the hunger for life, the desire to take control of what we've been blessed with and give, to give the body what it needs, it can't be stifled forever. So that's why there's people here who've had similar situations. They treated their body crappy for years and years and years. They've abused alcohol, food, drugs, and hurt their guts and hurt their body for years. But we always have an opportunity to turn that around. We always have an opportunity to treat this body with honor and respect so that we can use it to enrich our lives and the lives of others. So, yeah, glad I could share that with you guys. Let's see. Fit Helena, what type of workout to do at the beginning of starting keto? Need full body workout examples. This is all individual, right? For a woman, for a man, for somebody who's resistance trained for years, for somebody who prefers moving, cardio. I mean, it's whatever you want. Like, there's no specific type of workout you need to do on keto. This is the marketing. This is the marketers. These are people who are looking for a specific niche. They're trying to find some special way to make their information righter than everyone else's. There's no special way to work out on keto, right? There's gymnasts who do keto. People have done CrossFit in keto. Not sure if I recommend that, but yeah, there's loads of ways to do keto and to work out and do exercise, right? All right. Bong Flash says, all you done in the past took you to the place and situation you are now, so it can't be that bad. I have no regrets. I don't regret any of it, right? It was great. I didn't regret it while I was doing it either. All right. Eslam Omar says, fun fact, THC gets stored with your body fat and gets released when the fat is burned, so sometimes you get partially high when you go for a jog. I don't know if that's really true, though, that you get high when it gets released from your fat. I think the metabolites will get stored, but it's not like you put THC in your body and actually the full-on THC gets stored and then suddenly you go for a run and you're stoned. I don't know. You could test that out for me if you want, though. Mutant Stoner says, still recovering from social anxiety problems. He says, for me, weed gave me incredible amounts of anxiety. In my opinion, weed is not calming. Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're prone to anxiety, it will enhance it, right? I mean, it's like a magnifying glass for whatever's there. It's going to put it right there in front of your face and magnify it. If you don't want to deal with it, if you're not ready to deal with what's right there, a lot of people can use it to try and distract themselves instead. Go down lower. Bong Flash says, Ben & Jerry's is the one thing I miss so much on keto. Really? I don't miss it at all, man. I used to eat Ben & Jerry's and just crash afterwards. I feel crappy. I don't know, man. All right. Eslam says, there's nothing better than being at the bottom and rise to the top. This way you know how it feels like to be driven and stay away from there. For sure, man. I mean, it's like, look, people who've never done anything difficult or never had any hardships in life, that's what forms character, right? Difficulty forms character. Sarah Mazur asks me what my biggest keto pet peeve is. And here's my biggest keto pet peeve. My biggest keto pet peeve is when clients come to me and they've worked with other coaches or they've taken the advice of other gurus who are parroting things that are incorrect and they're trying to lose body fat. So I get people coming to me who are like, 260-pound female, and they've been given the macros of like 50 grams of fat or of protein, super low protein, like 40, 50 grams of protein, absurdly low, less than the recommended daily allowance in the standard American diet, which is already low. So they're prescribed super low protein and very, very high fat. And they're told to obsessively check their blood glucose and blood ketones, and they're non-diabetics. So instead of trying to get fat loss and use the benefits of keto, which allows you to create a deficit easier and lose body fat consistently and burn that body fat, instead of doing that, they're obsessing over the blood ketones and their blood glucose. So they like every meal they eat, they take blood glucose right after a meal. And they see that it goes up like in the 90s, or it might be like 110 right after a meal, which is normal, right? Glucagon raises blood sugar after a meal. Insulin shuttles it into cells where it needs to go. That's how it works. It's a delicate balance the body finds. But they get obsessed with these metrics. They don't even understand how glucagon and insulin work. They're not diabetic, and they're looking at the wrong metrics. And they end up gaining weight, obsessing over the wrong thing, and missing the forest for the trees, right? If you're going for fat loss, you're not diabetic, and you're not doing a medical ketogenic diet. Stop wasting your time, money, and stressing out so much about these blood glucose levels, right? Quit draining your blood into these stupid $5 strips, making these pharmaceutical companies billions of dollars when you don't need to. So that's my biggest keto pet peeve. Wasting time, energy, and money on metrics that don't matter for fat loss when your goal is just to lose body fat, feel good, and live a productive, healthy life. All right. Eslam says, is it better not to have breakfast at all? No, it's not better not to have breakfast at all. In fact, it's better to have breakfast than to not have breakfast. Breakfast, as far as blood glucose control throughout the day, is the most important meal. So people who want to intermittent fast, eat breakfast, skip dinner instead, right? And I'm not saying you should intermittent fast so that it's the great way to go about it for everybody. It can be useful. I usually do 2 meals a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. That's how I do it. Today I had 3 meals. Met a friend in town, had some swordfish. It was so good. Don't tell my wife though. She'll be jealous. All right. VRA Hovick says, hey bro, love your stuff. What would you say about your metabolism slowing down on keto? Isn't it harmful long-term not to eat any carbs at all? All right. Getting into the science. What makes your metabolism slow down is adaptive thermogenesis. Your body, your metabolism adapts to the lower calorie intake and to the lower body mass that you're carrying. So if you lower your body fat levels and you drop 20 pounds, of course your metabolism is going to slow down. If you're eating less food, your metabolism will adapt and slow down a bit. But not eating carbohydrates doesn't make your metabolism slow down. And carbohydrates are non-essential nutrients. They're not essential. There's nothing harmful about not eating carbs long term. There's loads of people who've done it for years and years and years. The longest I've gone on a ketogenic diet straight was like 2.5 years, right? Without breaking it. No issues at all, even when I added carbohydrates back in temporarily, except I preferred keto and went right back to it after a couple weeks, and I couldn't get more than like 2 or 3 months. I think the most I ever did was like 2 months eating more carbs. So nothing wrong with not eating carbs. They're non-essential nutrients. In fact, most people eat way too many carbs. And when you cut back on them a little bit, your body gets better at functioning in their absence. I prefer how my body, my mind, just my whole being feel in the absence of high carbohydrates. So thanks for the question, man. Keep on searching, keep on asking these questions. Look at the data, look at the research. Yeah. Mad Max says the ups and downs of life are what build characters and make one a better person. Live and learn. Look, like I was talking about this time in my life, and it's funny when I tell you the story of what my life was about. Not even what it was about, because I didn't get into that at all, right? Like my whole philosophy on everything, what I was experiencing inside, the richness of life that I was experiencing at the time. I didn't get into that. I just got into some of the habits that I was treating my body with, right? Using opiates to try to stifle the chronic pain that I had from improper movement patterns, from skateboarding, which is an incredibly imbalanced activity, the way that I was doing it, right? From not moving my body in a natural human way very much, because when I wasn't skating, I would just like chill out, play video games, sit in class, bad posture. I grew up hunched over desks, very poor posture, like the bent forward position, right? Like that was my posture most of my life in desks. Now I got that movement, right? So I wasn't treating my body well. I had lots of issues as far as just like energy production goes, but I still appreciated life and I still enjoyed it. And I grew from the experience. I learned from my mistakes. So yeah, we got to make mistakes in order to learn. Tanya Eubanks, what's Giota Shorts? Hey, he says, what do you think of the addictive nature associated with content on the internet, namely pornography, the effect on people? Sorry, it's difficult to phrase this because it's such a complex topic. Absolutely, right? I mean, I was like completely addicted to pornography for years. I was like high school. So when I was in high school, that was when like we were first able to, I remember like the first things on the internet, some of like the first content on the internet that became massively popular. And so it was like pornography, right? I mean, I remember 4th grade me and my friends, when we first got the internet, like AOL, America Online, and we would try and like look up nudie pictures and stuff, and like that would, and like try to break through the firewall and play Duke Nukem 3D on the, remember that game? Like 98 or something. And then like pornographic images started coming out. You can go to these porn galleries and there's just a million images of naked women and, sexual images all over. You're 12 years old, right? Like you're just developing, you're hitting puberty. You want this. And actually, when you like being in the presence of a naked woman signals dopamine, right? Because it means, hey, something's going right here. You're about to mate. You're about to breed. Your biology, your animal body gets lit up by it. But it's not used to being lit up by it, by a screen constantly, having access to millions of images of sexuality, right? Much of it lean and dehumanizing now. Like if you look at the stuff that gets put out now, it's insane. The causation says I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum. Put the effing glasses on, Rowdy Roddy Piper. Huh? I get the reference. They Live, 1987, right? Amazing film. One of the best films ever made. They Live. Watch it. See it. John Carpenter, They Live. So anyways, yeah, I mean, important. So think about this, right? Dopamine lights your brain up. Boom, connection, truth. That's what dopamine's there for, to light your brain up, to mark and identify truth, to have you memorize, to help us memorize things, and to guide us through pleasurable experiences that will result in more life. But we can hack that experience by grabbing a screen and giving people instant access to pornography, right? So I'm 12 years old and we get the internet, right? And I remember I used to spend entire nights, I'm talking like, 12, 13 years old, entire nights. I remember we got a new computer, right? My parents bought this new computer and we got the internet hooked up, AOL. And, maybe this was after AOL. This was maybe when like different companies started doing it. And, but I remember like playing, so my parents would watch TV in the other room. And then we had this other room that had a computer in it. And I would play Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 with my friends. And then when the parents were asleep, that's when the real party started. You know what we'd do? Or what I would do, even when my friends would come over too, you find the naked pictures, right? But it wasn't, and then it became not even that, it became explicit pornography, and then it goes further and further and further. And you're frying out those dopamine receptors and you're just constantly bombarding yourself with signals and you get immune to it. And then when you finally are able to trick some woman into letting you dingle with their poonie, then it completely ruins the experience and it's already totally clouded up by all these media images and these perversion images that you've seen from the pornography. It disconnects us not only from, ourselves and like real expression of your sexuality and real connection and love and romance. It not only ruins that through programming and images and, defiling violent images, mixing sex and violence, just disgusting practices that result in disease and messed up biomes, right? Why is the pornography industry and the media promoting anal sex? I'm going to say it right here. It's a disgusting practice that destroys your gut microbiome and creates all sorts of health issues. There's nothing wrong with sexuality. But when we start mixing, like putting things where they don't go and promoting that in society, right? In through the outdoor, stuff like that. You got Led Zeppelin singing about it, thinking it's cute. This is crazy, right? So, you got a society addicted to pornography, frying out their dopamine receptors, unable to connect with each other emotionally, sexually, on a deep level, right? And it's all about like looks, right? It's all about what you look like. So people are watching these images, they're mirroring the acts that they see. Look, it's terrible. Like internet porn, Tanya Eubanks says sex is to sugar as net porn is to crack. That's interesting. Is that like a SAT question? No, it's insane, right? Tanya Eubanks says, Google the Weimar Republic. We're there again. Exactly. You want to dehumanize. You want to subjugate a population. Classically, what they want to do, you want to effeminize the men in a culture, right? You don't want men to be warriors. You don't want them to fight you. So whenever the Romans would go and they would conquer a tribe, what they would do is they would try to turn the men into homosexuals. They try to, desexualize the men and effeminize the men and abuse them sexually and abuse the children and turn the woman into whores and prostitutes. That's how you turn a society into an easily controllable ball of mush to be molded into clay. Bread and circuses, right? You prey on the animal nature of people. And pornography is a weapon. It is a cultural weapon. It's not there because it's great, you just get over there, squeeze one off real quick, get your rocks off, and it's really cool. No, it's a disgusting thing when you look at the fruits of it. Right? And I'm not some like Puritan, like goody two shoes. I just talked about shit that I used to be down for, right? I used to like, man, porn can be so addictive. When I was a senior in high school, so many times, I remember I would ditch school. I'd ditch class because we had open campus. So you could just take, like, I'd take my car, walk out of class, leave in the middle of certain classes where the teachers didn't care or wouldn't notice. I would leave class, drive to my house, go watch pornography, and jerk off daily, like several times. Like, it was insane, right? When I'm 17 years old, the world is your oyster, and I'm spending hours locking myself in front of a computer, radiating my head with images of perversion that just completely twisted my connection to the opposite sex for a long time. Not cool. Not cool. Pornography, I'm not a big fan, right? I think it's a social engineering weapon, especially right now. Look at history. Like Tanya Eubanks says, look at the history of the Weimar Republic, right? All right. Let's talk about something happy, like breaking those addictions, right? Okay, yeah, all right, I'm just reading some comments. Anyways, how about breaking those habits? How about formatting a lifestyle that supports the system, that supports and uplifts the higher aspects of man, not the lower animal nature, not the violent, dominant animal side of man and woman, or Z or G, not that side, but what are the noble parts, right? That's what we should focus on. That's what we should put our eye on, right? The eye is the light of the body. What are you shining that on right now? What are you looking at? And it doesn't just mean like physically. It's like when you look inside yourself, when you're looking into other people, when you look into someone's eyes, when you're looking at the world, what are you looking at? What are you drawing forth? Right? Okay. So how do we break these habits? How do you break a habit to something like the addiction to sugar, to treating the body poorly, opiates, pornography, these things? How do we break them? Well, we have to replace them with meaningful activity. And a lot of the times it takes something that matches the intensity of the activity that you're replacing. So if that activity is, pornography, boom, 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 dopamine, 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 constantly images, images, dopamine. You need something that's almost as equal in intensity. And you know what's almost as equal in intensity as that dopamine kick that you get from the pornography, or the rush, that sugar rush that you get when you're eating the donuts and then you crash and feel shitty. You know what's even more awesome than that? Being consistently aware of your body, able to control your body, able to control your automatic reactions to stimulus around you, and transcending these animal-based nature desires that can be highly destructive. That's just as beautiful, just as intense, and just as amazing as getting high as shit on the opiates. It's getting high as hell off the pornography and then crashing and feeling weird and crappy and empty afterwards, right? It's steady energy that we're after. It's life, it's consciousness, it's the ability to focus and to get things done. So, Islam says, I think the best cure to porn addiction is healthy hobbies. That's absolutely true. Check it out. I'm learning how to write. That's my homework. Yes, it's about replacing it. But those hobbies and habits has to be just as satisfying, right? So we have to put ourselves into life. We have to make the decision, right? It's one way or another. It's bondage to the pornography, bondage to the drugs, to the alcohol, to the cycle of addiction, or it's freedom from that and cleaving to life, right? So finding things you enjoy outside of just diet, For some people, lifting weights is great. For other people, they find things, snowboarding, skateboarding. For me, skating was one of those things that really helped me to connect, right? To be in the moment, to get in that flow state that people call it now. right? That's what we really want. We want connection. And we're searching for that connection in the wrong places. And there's an entire structure there to spoon feed us ways to fill that hole, that emptiness inside of us with things that'll put us into bondage to them, right? So getting out into nature, getting out into life, taking part in meaningful activities, meaningful human relationships, right? You know what's a real rush? You know what's a real rush is actually being honest with yourself and actually taking the responsibility and taking up the responsibility of what you need to do to better yourself and to be a better service to those around you. That's a rush, right? It's frightening sometimes to look at ourselves in the mirror and know you're not living up to your potential. And there's more that I could be doing right now in this moment, in every interaction I have. All right. You got people, don't come on here and don't argue about no Trump fighting, no Trump bait people, right? You just say that word and like half the world's like, yeah, and half the world's like, yeah. This is what media does to you. That simple word, Trump, can turn everybody into crazed animals now, right? They've got the American population on the brink of civil war. We're trying to do this for a long time, but it's coming to a head now. And it's insane. We need to stop letting these people divide us. We need to stop letting media divide us into little tribes, pit us against each other. This is classic divide and conquer tactic. While the bread and circuses of the porn, the shitty food, and the poisons that are destroying the atmosphere and the food supply and our bodies are creating, right? How do we do that? By supporting restorative agriculture, organic agriculture, by treating our bodies well, by connecting to life, by talking with our neighbors, and by tuning out to the bullshit propaganda that they're constantly feeding us to divide us up into little cults that can be controlled with little triggers and keywords through the media. This is a scientific propaganda is a science, right? Dividing up populations with these things is a science. So don't come on here and divide up my audience and get them fighting over nonsense political triggers, right? All right, they're still fighting over it. Whatever. I just don't like to see it. All right, here we go. Let's see. Look at all this. Mad Max says porn is evil, unhealthy, and unnatural. It's one of the downfalls of humanity. It's designed to destroy our society. Evil. Evil is a weird word, right? Evil, healthy, and unnatural. That's what Mad Max says. All right. Eslam says, Tristan, do you know a channel named What I've Learned? I think you'll love it as your ideologies collide. He's pro keto as well. What do you mean collide? Like they're not... You mean they're similar? Or they when I hear collide, I think of clash, right? I think of a collision. I'll look it up. What I've learned. No, I won't write it down. I'll remember it. What I've learned. What I've learned. I'll check it out. All right. So. Are you aware of blockchain technology? It's coming fast, and it'll shape a better world. How is blockchain technology all based on digital interface, all based on the current electrical grid, all dependent on computing power, which is all consolidated into the hands of massive tech companies? And, you know, I mean, how is this, like, you don't think there's just warehouses and entire cities that can be filled up in China with just blockchain generating servers? I don't know, man. Eslam, I've heard of it. I'm aware of it. I don't know everything about it, but I don't know. I've known about Bitcoin since like 2009 or whatever. And since we came to Ecuador, I think maybe 2010. I think I heard of Bitcoin in 2009, 2010. I thought it was interesting. I've seen some people make some money on it, but I don't think it's going to make a better world, man. It's just, you're rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. right? It's not, it's like, okay, yes, fractional reserve banking and all this, complete farce, Federal Reserve System, centralized banking control, you know, IMF, World Bank, this stuff. Yeah, studied history, I understand this. But the answer to me is not just like, I don't know, it's not so simple. To me, the problems of the world are not economic problems, right? The economy is just a reflection of the humans that make it. So what makes us miss the mark? What makes us waste our energy? What makes us prone to this divide and conquer tactic of what I was just talking about earlier? To me, it comes down to individual responsibility, right? It's not like, oh, blockchain technology is going to create a better world. No. Our intention, our hearts, and our desire for a better world can create that, right? Now, if we line up correctly and use our, you know, what we've been given, use our God-given will to actually create a better world through our interactions with our community, through our interactions with ourselves, and through reflection on the truth. You know, we got to look inside first. You say it's a decentralized system, but it's still centralized in people who have computing power, right? There's no freedom from middleman control. I don't know. Maybe. I wish you luck. All right. So Daryl says, I've been watching you for a while. Between you and Eric Berg, it convinced me to go keto. My wife and I started a week ago. We're both overweight. Any advice for a newbie? Daryl Button. Right on, man. Here's what I'd like you to do. Any advice for a newbie? First of all, listen to what I said earlier about my biggest pet peeve on keto. So rewatch this one. If you're going for fat loss, you're trying to create a deficit, right? So you need to make sure you're getting sufficient protein. For most people, a safe number to throw out there that'll get you enough protein in most cases on most macro spreads is about 0.8 grams per pound of your lean body mass, your fat-free mass. That's more than enough for resistance training athletes as well. So get enough protein to support muscle protein synthesis, to keep your lean muscle mass. And fat is for energy, but you want some of the fat that you're using to come from your body. We can't just burn the exogenous fats that we're putting in our body. So you need to create a sort of a deficit from the fat. So after you've adapted, you want to dial back those fats a bit and create a nice deficit using those fats. I would never recommend going much below, like, especially for women, right? 70 grams of fat would be like the absolute lowest for super aggressive fat loss. But yeah, I know I can't just dole out macros randomly here, but stay safe. Don't just, I'm not saying cut fat down as low as you can, right? But you create the deficit through the fat. So 80% fat is not relevant on a non-medical ketogenic diet. Okay. Abstract death. Says, my question is theoretically, would getting the majority of my protein requirement from powders and getting a little fat from, say, keto coffee wreck one's metabolism over time? So you're talking about eating a diet purely of processed, refined protein powders and some oil added to coffee. And you're asking me to tell you what my opinion on that is? I think that's a great way to crash your metabolism and make life miserable. Completely nutrient deficient diet. I don't recommend using protein powders at all. Why are you going to waste your money on that when you can just get protein sources? Eat fish, eat beef, eat lamb. The causation says she enjoys Jordan Peterson stuff. I like that guy too. He's got some great stuff. All right, let's see. Yeah, Jordan Peterson has some fantastic stuff. I mean, especially coming from like a psychologist, right? I mean, my first years in university, I thought I wanted to study psychology, but then I met the people that were in the field just so disconnected from human reality and from the understanding of what makes people work. I thought it was a joke, right? And then I read Freud, like actually read Freud. I was just like, what is this perverted nonsense? Yeah, I studied Reich, Wilhelm Reich, and stuff like that. And I thought Reich had definitely a much perspective on it, but then he still had to go like to the, you know, his orgone theory, right? Of it all comes down to the orgasm, and it's just like this sex obsession that a lot of these early psychologists had, which is just in my, like, that's just not been my experience in life, right? It's such a weird, shallow lens, and right, like treating people like they're 14-year-olds forever, and just like, I don't know. But yeah, Jordan Peterson is what I was talking about. As a person who's, you know, coming in from the trenches of, you know, academia, and especially psychology and psychiatry, which is a complete disarray in my opinion, and not a science at all, right? I mean, it's just become social control mechanism. I mean, psychiatry and psychology in the 20th century have become weaponized control mechanisms, right? I mean, look at the MK Ultra experiments, Project Monarch, Dr. Ewan Cameron. I mean, Bill Clinton was forced to apologize to the American people for the experiments that they were doing in the universities, hospitals, and the prisons of the United States for decades, radiating people for psychological experiments, breaking people psychically using psychic driving, electronic devices, torture devices, to split their personalities and create multiple personality disorders that they could control. I mean, when you look at like the history of psychology, psychiatry, it's absurd. It's like completely psychotic. And then you've got this amazing dude, Jordan Peterson, coming out of this lineage, and who would make some very salient and intellectually stimulating points, and lays it out in a very compelling manner within that world. So I like him. He's a good bridge for some of the people who actually like see more, but then they're stuck in this linguistic dogma and this, you know, this way of organizing reality that's been informed through education, you know, the fields of psychiatry, psychology. I think it's so cool to see him talking and influencing people to actually question these things and to probe the deeper mysteries of life. I think it's cool. So yeah, I like that guy. He's fun to listen to. All right. Wow. Teresa Tenpa says, still relatively new to keto and have lost 30 pounds. Many times I get headaches after exercising. What do you think why do you think I get them, and will they go away? Electrolytes, Teresa. The most common mistake that people make on a ketogenic diet is not getting in their electrolytes. So what I want you to do, make sure you're getting enough sodium from the diet. Most people, 5,000 to 7,000 milligrams of sodium, which can be gotten from a couple tablespoons, or I'm sorry, from like 2 to 3 teaspoons per day of salt, will get you your sodium needs. So if you're sweating a lot, if you're saunaing, then you need more sodium. Also magnesium. Now, most of our soil is depleted from the industrial commercial food production techniques where they're using a lot of pesticides and antibiotics like glyphosate, which is an antibiotic that works through the chelation and the binding of minerals in the soil. This makes the nutrient density of foods lesser. So magnesium deficiency is a huge thing nowadays, especially as people don't eat a lot of leafy greens. So make sure you're getting leafy greens. Potassium from foods like avocado, spinach, pumpkin seeds, salmon, red meat, stuff like that. These have good levels of potassium. So get potassium in dietarily. And I usually recommend people supplement with some magnesium. I usually go with like 400 milligrams of magnesium glycinate 2 times daily. That seems to be a nice blanket recommendation that works for most people. So make sure you're getting magnesium, sodium, and potassium, Teresa. And congratulations on 30 pounds lost. That's so cool. 30 pounds. What a weight off your shoulders. The causation says Reich and Jung are much better. Yeah, you know, Reich had some great stuff, but he's still like, I mean, what's up with the orgies and stuff, man? Like, he was like feeling up his, it's just so funny, right? Like, and you look at the type of people that want to become psychologists and psychiatrists, like the kids I grew up with that are now psychologists or psychiatrists. It just kind of makes me chuckle, right? It's like, I don't know, the blind leading the blind. But hey, what can you do? Intellectual pride's a bitch, isn't it? Healing for money. Also, it has a bunch of stuff. The causation says Sigmund Freud is bullshit. Yeah, no, Freud's a perverted fraud that was pushed as a weaponized. I don't want to get into this, but yes, you say Reich and Jung are better. Carl Jung, I love Jung's stuff. Yeah, I mean, that was reading Jung when I was like 22 was a profound experience, and I loved it. All right, but yeah, the whole like Reich's whole obsession with orgone and like the orgasmic energy is like he was. I don't know. I don't agree with that, but I think a lot of Reich stuff and the things that he did, and his book "Listen, Little Man," where he's got the drawings, right? I think that was awesome. "Listen, Little Man" by Wilhelm Reich, and Jung's incredible. Anything by Jung. I also, at that time, I was reading a lot of like Uspensky, P.D. Uspensky, and Gurdjieff, and just anything I could find, anything esoteric, anything about the mysteries of life, and but yeah, isn't it sad how right now our modern world, Western civilization, the only lens we're given to analyze like people's tendencies for behaviors and analyze, like, societies in general are from like completely perverted childish ideologues and, just deranged people like Sigmund Freud. And I had another one in mind that really shaped the modern psyche. You got Freud and I forget what the point was, but it's kind of sad that like that's what's given to us, right? It's a very dumbed down and very lame worldview, in my opinion. Sigmund Freud, causation calls him. Yeah, Sigmund Freud, terrible. Hey, but Sigmund Freud's grandson is still around, and he's a known pederast, and he likes to kick it with the royal family. So maybe look into the history there and some of the connections there, and it starts to make sense why this gets pushed on the population at the same time as all this pornography, putting your pee where the poo-poo goes, this kind of stuff, like all these practices and these things that are leading to negative health consequences, disruptive, breaking up the family, all this stuff makes sense. And the whole Oedipus thing is the most insane thing. I mean, the whole Oedipal complex thing that Freud came up with, so twisted, so far removed from reality, in my opinion, and so retarded. I can't believe they were teaching that to me in 7th grade, right? That's in 7th grade. They teach kids this Oedipus story. Why are they teaching you that in 7th grade? Why are they teaching you Freud's Oedipus Rex, right? Or no, I read Oedipus Rex in 7th or 8th grade, which is not Freud, but then we talked about Freud's theories and all that. Who wrote Oedipus Rex? That wasn't. All right, anyways. My name is Misty says, I had severe headaches until I upped my sodium recently. So that's in response to the last question. And yes, sodium, magnesium, potassium, super crucial for not getting the keto flu symptoms, right? Keto adaptation, not that hard, especially if you get in those electrolytes. All right. Nakiel is asking, how do you spell glyphosate? It's glyphosate, Glyphosate, glyphosate. Look up all the research. California was just finally, the state of California, state of California has declared, as if it means anything, right? But they've finally been forced to admit and declare it a carcinogen, right? So this stuff's being sprayed all over suburbs of the United States. When you look at populations, population density, if you look at populations with children with autism and the spread of those, the autism rates next to fields with heavy pesticide usage are astronomically higher than areas where there's none of these pesticides sprayed. And what does glyphosate do in the human body? It disrupts the gut microbiome. It breaks open the epithelial layer in the gut, makes more gut permeability, right? You all know about the gut-brain axis, how the gut can control emotion. So, I mean, this is a toxic agent, and it's literally like it's destroying people's lives, right? It's increasing the autism rates immensely. And through supporting organic agriculture, through sourcing local organic foods, going to the farmer's market, making relationships with your neighbor, having your own garden, having your own chickens, having your own goat, creating meaningful community relationships with food producers. This is the way out, right? Not just complaining about it. We got to point out the problem. I'm not here to bitch and complain. I want to empower us, right? I want to empower us as human beings. So we can take this out. We can make it irrelevant and obsolete. Why do you think Monsanto sold to Bayer? Right? I mean, Monsanto's profits have been dropping massively the last few years. People are onto it. They can't bully people through government anymore because we see it. We see you, right? Come on. So we can actually affect change. Every economic decision we make through supporting small family businesses, local businesses, right? Instead of going to Whole Foods, go to your small local health food store. Go to your farmer's market. Amazon just bought Whole Foods, right? Instead of buying food from Amazon, which is, it's super easy and convenient. Shoot, I buy stuff from Amazon all the time now. I wish there was another option. But instead of buying stuff from Amazon, buy it from your local retailer, from small family stores, right? Don't buy organic food on Amazon when you can go get it locally. But yeah, supporting organic agriculture, supporting organic agriculture, supporting restorative agriculture and practices that are sustainable is very important. And actually, the organic market is the biggest growing market in the world right now. That's why you see Amazon trying to buy it up, right? That's why you see the American Heart Association attacking coconut oil on behalf of big food, soy, wheat, corn, all this Monsanto crap. The profits of these companies are being eaten into. The profits of the false prophets are declining. So what does that show you? People are demanding change, and they're creating it. People are creating community. People are creating meaning in their life apart from the false reality perpetuated by media, pop music, and all this filth, right? Creating meaningful content like this, through supporting content creators like this channel, right? Through going to primaledgehealth.com, checking out our cookbook, right? We have an entire section on the cookbook about sourcing local organic food. We can give you resources, especially for those living in the U.S., for co-ops and stuff that can deliver organic foods anywhere in the U.S. and grass-fed meat, right? So restorative agriculture, community interaction, meaningful activity, meaningful economic activity and economic decisions will create a future that is much more livable than the vision from the corporate world that we're being spoon-fed through science fiction programming, through all this predictive programming in media and pop culture and music, all this filth that's constantly pushed on us, trying to make us feel dirty inside, trying to make us feel unclean inside, trying to make us feel worthless. Not worthless, right? We are powerful individuals who have the ability to do so much. Tanya says, tell me Jung wasn't the one with the finger puppet. It's funny. All right. Okay. Okay. Robert says, Tristan, you should host a meetup in Ecuador. Are you in Ecuador, Robert? Eslam Omar says, Tristan, do you secretly have access to NZT? How come you seem like you have a 4-digit IQ? I don't know what my IQ is, man. I'm not any smarter than you. Maybe I've like cleaned out some recesses in my mind to a certain extent, allowed like some clogs to come out of there. And sort of, I mean, there's days where I feel dumb and slow, man. I'm not always on point. How do I seem like I have a 4-digit IQ? I don't know. Maybe it's like when people speak with conviction, they tend to sound more smart, right? It's a vibrational thing, I think. Like you hear, like I believe what I speak, and I speak from my heart. And to me, intelligence isn't about facts. It's about the ability to. It's about analysis. It's about the right questions. So I don't know. I question everything, man. I don't take NZT. That was a funny movie, though, right? I don't know. All right, let's see. People were asking about watching the video called "A Real Doctor Watches What the Health." I haven't watched What the Health yet. I have no intention to, right? Like I actually saw like a 2-minute clip of this video, "A Real Doctor Watches What the Health," and I don't know, man. It's like a real doctor, right? So you put on a doctor's outfit. I'm not into this intellectual pride thing or this appeal to authority. A real doctor. What is a real doctor, right? Oh, somebody who's been indoctrinated in the medical system that any one of us could have gone through if we were able to sell out our mind and our conscience enough, to work in this current structure that is the medical industrial system. I mean, I'm not so impressed with like someone calls himself a doctor. I'm not impressed. You call yourself a scientist. I'm not impressed. You say, oh, I got 180 IQ, whatever. I'm not impressed. I'm impressed by, I guess it's hard to impress me. I'm impressed by reality. I'm impressed by truth. I'm impressed by real life, Sarah says, say anything with confidence and people will usually believe it, right? Question the things I tell you. Just because I sound smart, I sound like I know what I'm saying, question these things. Look it up for yourself, research yourself, make your own decision. I think that's the best advice I can give any of you when you're looking into changing your lifestyle, your diet, or just trying to figure out what's going on in the world. Don't listen so much to what other people tell you and what's going on. You can hear it, consider it, mull it over, but don't take it as dogma. Or, you find somebody who looks like you want to look and talks like you want to talk. You idolize them. You want to, you tell ourselves that they are like the ultimate. And this is how we get lost. Who cares about the personality aspect, about how smart or cool someone seems or sounds? What matters is what's true, what resonates with you, right? And that's only found through kind of probing the deeper silence of our being. J. Patrick Campbell's asked if I'm a military vet. No, sir, I'm not a military vet. Tanya says, most doctors get less nutrition education than what most of us have. They're not nutritionists or biochemists. And even then, how many are pretty much owned by big pharma, big ag? And then Misty says, or owned by Trump. Trump. And you can just pull the Trump card now on anything, right? It's like, damn it, I stubbed my toe. Freaking Trump. It's just like before. It's all freaking Obama. The train keeps rolling. The mask changes. 2 wings, 1 bird. Okay, let's see. So you're saying that most doctors are owned by big pharma. I mean, it's not really so simple as like they're owned by big pharma. It's not like a conscious thing, right? The whole system works by subtle coercion and on unconsciousness. So it's like you get somebody who goes into hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to try to become a doctor so that they can make a bunch of money, right? It's an 18-year-old kid. When you were 18 years old, did you have the presence of mind, the prescience of being, the forward vision to actually know what you want to do and what you should be doing in this world? No. Most 18-year-olds now are completely clogged with pornography, with, Ritalin, with psychiatric drugs that they're giving out in schools and media, right? Propaganda, social engineering. So 18-year-olds aren't ready to make major life decisions for themselves. Like when I was 18, I don't know. Anyways, so you're 18 years old. You decide, I'm going to be a doctor. Now I'm going to school for it. 10 years go by. You take all your classes. You go into massive amounts of debt. Here you are, broke, living like a pauper in like a cult situation, right? Look what is the university system? The first year of university, you throw everybody in dorm rooms, sometimes 4 to 8 kids living in the same room. These are privileged kids who've had their own room their whole life, right? Their parents are sending them to college. Then all of a sudden they're sharing a room with a group of people. So it reinforces groupthink, this whole Orwellian groupthink thing. And, it's about conformity. And it's about getting along to go along, and going along to get along, right? I mean, the whole structure of the dorms, the dormitories, the dormitory system in the education complex right now, it's a complete joke. I mean, it's exactly like military training, right? Like the barracks, or when you look at any cult leader, right? You give people close quarters living situations so that everybody's monitoring each other's thoughts, actions, and behavior. And subconsciously, everybody starts to police each other and themselves. So you raise people in this type of situation in a Pavlovian training system all through their education. And then you send them to college and it's like, oh, this is a great experience. And you slam them into rooms with each other, groupthink, policing each other's thoughts and actions. Insecurity is already rampant in these people, and then you just throw them all in a room together with no real guidance or direction from elders, right, who actually have wisdom. Yes, you have professors and stuff like that, but shoot, I mean, a lot of them are just entrenched in dogma in their own academic world. There's some gems in there as well, but I mean, it's the situation isn't exactly conducive to free thinking is what I'm getting at. So then you're taught all this stuff, and the curriculum is determined by the state if you're in the UC system, which is determined by corporate interests. All the money, all the funding's coming from corporate interests and public money. So it's a tightly controlled paradigm. By the time you get out, you're so indebted to this system, and you've already bought into it, right? Like, you've given 10 years to this. You know how hard it is if you've given 10 years to something to admit to yourself, I don't know if this is right for me. So then you basically end up working for insurance companies, making a hefty salary, right? I mean, the medical priesthood nowadays is being treated very nice, especially with the whole Obamacare thing. I mean, they're now able to be the 1%. They have the intellectual pride, the economic pride. You get to drive a nice car with a plastic smile. But it's like, I mean, that's the medical system. That's how I see it. Hey, it might seem pessimistic, whatever, but that's my experience. That's why I didn't get into it. That's why I didn't join it. I didn't want to be a doctor. I thought I wanted to be a journalist, but then that died. It was dead before I even got into it, and I knew it too. But so, I mean, I don't know. We got people talking about weed here from my picture earlier. The word dank. Robert S. says the word dank isn't cool anymore. Dank. That's what we used to call weed when I was in high school. We used to call it the dank. You get the dank buds. That's funny. All right, guys. So anyways, I'm not bashing all doctors. I'm just giving one perspective on why most physicians are so completely disconnected from their job. And, they're very fatalistic about the whole system as well. But you know what? You pay somebody enough, they'll throw blinders on. You get someone into enough debt, they'll bow before you and worship you. But you know what's cool? We have responsibility. We have the ability to take responsibility, rather. The ability to change our perspective, to change our lives. And like I read earlier from this piece that caught my house on fire yesterday, instead of chasing goals or false ideals, false idols, I want to be a doctor. I want to be rich. I want to be a lawyer or a banker. Instead of that, maybe we should strive to be us. Maybe we should strive to be true to ourselves, to see the truth, to seek the truth, to speak the truth. Not maybe, but definitely, right? So here we go. I'm going to read one more little section of this. Let's assume Now you think you have a choice of 8 paths to follow, all predefined paths, of course. And let's assume that you can't see any real purpose in any of the 8. Then, and here's the essence of all I've said, you must find a 9th path. Naturally, it isn't as easy as it sounds. You lived a relatively narrow life, right? Just like the kids that get on the train to become a doctor. Hey, I'm 18 years old. I got to make some money. My daddy told me I got to be successful. I'll be a doctor. Right? It isn't too difficult to understand why you seem to feel the way you do. But a man who procrastinates in his choosing will inevitably have his choice made for him by circumstance. Right? You don't choose. If you don't make a decision, if you don't choose where you stand, someone will make a decision for you and usher you along into the line. Then what are you? Just an automaton, yeah? So if you now number yourself among the disenchanted, and you have no choice but to accept things how they are, or to seriously seek something else, But beware of looking for goals. Look for a way of life. Decide how you want to live, and then see what you can do to make a living within that way of life. Great advice. Beautiful advice. Eslam's asking who wrote this. This is actually a letter from, this is 1958. This was Hunter S. Thompson to one of his friends, and you could find this in one of his books, one of his books of letters, which are actually really great pieces of literature. You actually read Hunter S. Thompson's letters. Some of them are really, really good. But yeah, I think that's pretty salient, right? We should strive to be ourselves. Don't put your faith in goals or in ideals of like, I'll be a doctor. Because those false idols, those false realities, those glass houses will always break. All glass houses will shatter. So anyways, let's see. Mutant Stoner says, this is the exact problem I'm having. Desperately trying to find a way of life. Living in a big city makes it difficult. All the work is robotic. Are you stuck there, Mutant Stoner? Definitely not. I wasn't rich when I decided to change my life. When I decided to leave the environment that I was in and completely rearrange it. I wasn't rich by any means. But I did my best to line myself up with a lifestyle, with an intent, with a way of being that was true to me, right? So that's what we have to do. We got to be true to ourselves. We got to be true to the truth. And we have to seek that in the silence, not in the blah, 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 that's influenced by other people's blah, 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 blah. We have to find it in that peace and that silence that lies deep down inside. So Mutant Stoner, who I know from the last Hangout, you're no longer a stoner, or from this Hangout, I think too, you're no longer a stoner. So you've already changed your life. You realize that that wasn't beneficial to your life and you changed it. Now, here you are again. You want to find a way of making a living. Making a living. I don't know. To me, when you drop the fear, when you drop the obsession with success, with making a living, with the money, with the image, with the fake, the false, you might just realize that there's so much peace, there's so much life, there's so much opportunity right behind the blinders that we've put on while we're staring at all this negative crap around us, right? So just take a step back, look at your environment, look at what you want to do, look inside, right? And maybe you got to change the environment. Maybe you got to move. Maybe you got to get out of there. But just moving yourself doesn't really do anything. We got to change ourselves. We got to change our perspective, our intention, and the way we see, the way we filter. But that's why I really like this piece, because it's touching on exactly what you're talking about. Let another man define your own goals to give up one of the most meaningful aspects of life, the definitive act of will, which makes a man an individual. Beware of looking for goals, look for a way of life. decide how you want to live, and then see what you can do to make a living within that way of life. All right? I'll see you guys next time. PrimalEdgeHealth.com. Check out the Ketogenic Edge Cookbook made by my lovely wife, Jessica. It's probably the best resource out there for becoming a master chef in your keto kitchen. So the Ketogenic Edge Cookbook, a training manual for low carbohydrate, ketogenic, and paleo cuisine. Check it out at PrimalEdgeHealth.com. I'll see you guys next time. Adios.